Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we are unpacking this absolutely fascinating economic paper. It's called The AI Layoff Trap, written by Brett Hemingway Falk and Gary Tukalas. And let me tell you, it uncovers a massive, totally counterintuitive paradox that is hiding right in plain sight in our economy today. We're going to break down all the complex math and turn it into a clear, compelling story.
Now, let me ask you something. Could saving money on AI actually bankrupt the economy? I know, it sounds totally backward, right? Because, well, if a company fires workers and replaces them with cheaper AI, they're cutting costs. And in standard business logic, cutting costs means more profit. But what this paper reveals is wild. When highly rational companies race to cut costs using AI, they might actually be unintentionally destroying their own profit margins and literally dragging the rest of the economy down with them. Okay, let's dive right into this. The core of this mystery is what the researchers call the AI layoff trap. Think about it this way. The workers who make a company's products or provide its services are the exact same people who go out and buy products in the broader economy. So when a company replaces workers with AI to save on wages, those laid-off workers suddenly have, way less money to spend. Overall demand just drops. Essentially, by aggressively firing your workforce, you are simultaneously firing your own customer base. It creates what economists call a dangerous demand externality. Now, you might be thinking, wait, hasn't automation always happened? And yeah, for sure, it has. But this time is completely different. See, historically, automation was localized and really gradual. Farmers got tractors, then later factory workers got machines. It happened in little pockets. And the economy usually fixed itself through what we call the reinstatement effect, meaning new jobs were eventually created somewhere else. But AI automation, it's ubiquitous. It's cognitive. It's hitting customer support, coding, operations, middle management, all at the exact same time. The demand destruction is happening across the board, completely bypassing that traditional reinstatement effect. To really grasp the unprecedented scale of this whole thing, consider the number 80. According to the research we're looking at, studies estimate that about 80% of U.S. jobs have tasks that large language models can already handle at incredibly high levels. 80%. That means 4 out of 5 of us are right in the crosshairs. We're not talking about some tiny, niche sector being disrupted. We're talking about the vast majority of the workforce facing disruption all at once. When companies automate on this massive scale, the loss of consumer spending power isn't just a slow leak. It's a sudden, catastrophic drain. And the crazy part is, we don't even have to look to some distant sci-fi future to see this happening. The data from early 2026 is already showing it. Block recently cut nearly half of its workforce, openly citing AI. Over 100,000 tech workers were laid off in 2025 alone, again, with AI being a primary driver. Salesforce swapped out 4,000 human support agents for AI. And we've got software tools now, like Devin, that literally let a single engineer do the output of 5. This shift is broad, it is unbelievably fast, and it spans across multiple economic sectors simultaneously.
Section 1. The Automation Arms Race. Private math versus public disaster. Let's get into it. Now, what's really interesting about this dynamic is how the private math works against the public good. To understand this market failure, just imagine a dozen competing companies, all fighting tooth and nail for the exact same customers. When one CEO decides to automate aggressively, their specific firm gets to keep 100% of the cost savings from those eliminated wages. And let's be honest, that private math looks fantastic on a quarterly earnings report. But what about the lost spending power of the workers they just fired? That pain, that lost market demand, is fractionally shared by all the competitors in that entire market. So every single CEO is highly incentivized to over-automate. It becomes what game theorists call a strictly dominant strategy. And this strictly dominant strategy creates a classic prisoner's dilemma. Think about it. If only one company automates, their profits absolutely soar. But because every rational CEO acts on that exact same incentive, they all automate. And ultimately, total company profits actually plummet far below where they started. Why? Because that massive, collective demand cliff just completely wipes out their revenue. The business owners genuinely end up with less money. It's a pure deadweight loss where absolutely everybody loses. The displaced workers, sure, but also the automating companies themselves. Moving on to Section 2. Why standard fixes fail. The search for a solution. So you'd think we could just use traditional economic fixes, right? Well, they simply don't solve the core issue here. Retraining workers? That might soften the immediate drop, but it definitely doesn't change the CEO's underlying incentive to automate the very next task. Universal basic income? UBI raises the poverty floor, but it totally ignores the per task decision that's actually driving the arms race. Standard profit taxes have absolutely no marginal impact on automation choices. Giving workers equity? Just not enough to close the gap. And even if companies sat down in a room and agreed to slow things down, what economists call cohesion bargaining, it falls apart. Why? Because the agreement isn't self-enforcing. Cheating and automating is still way too profitable in the short term. So, what do we do? Well, according to the researchers, there is really only one mathematical fix that genuinely solves this core incentive problem. It's called a Pigouvian automation tax. Basically, this is a highly specific fee levied on each automated task. The fee is calculated to be exactly equal to the extra demand destruction that specific piece of automation causes to the rest of the market. By doing this, the tax forces each individual company to feel the full social cost of its decisions right there on its own balance sheet. It essentially perfectly aligns the private math with the group math.
Section 3. The political catch. A double problem.
Okay, so we have an economic solution, but here is the crucial point. There is a massive catch. A tax like this generates incredible amounts of revenue, which means handing an enormous new pool of money over to the government to manage and redistribute. And let's look at the track record impartially here. Traditionally, human politicians have struggled with efficient distribution. You've got bureaucracy, vote buying, interest group capture, all of which often dilute the effectiveness of tax revenues. Ironically, the source material points out that the very AI that caused the market failure could theoretically solve the government failure. An AI allocation system could offer real-time fraud detection, incredibly smart targeting for retraining funds, and zero pork barrel politics. AI could theoretically optimize the power of the purse in ways human bureaucracies simply can't.
And this brilliantly illustrates our ultimate roadblock. Turning the budget over to an algorithm would, quoting directly from the analysis here, likely cost them re-election and power if the purse is decided by AI and not self-interested politicians. The structural reality is that humans currently in power are highly unlikely to just surrender their budget discretion to an algorithm, no matter how efficient it is. Why? Because controlling the purse strings is the absolute foundation of political power. So we're stuck with a double problem: a market failure requiring a tax, and a political failure complicating its execution. Which leaves us with a deeply provocative question to wrap up this explainer. Are we facing an entirely new kind of coordination problem? We've seen how pure market competition traps companies into destroying their own consumer demand, but we've also seen how traditional government structures are fundamentally misaligned to efficiently manage the solution. As technology, economics, and political self-interest violently collide, how will society navigate this unprecedented gridlock? It's a massive, massive question that we are all going to be living through in the years to come. Thanks so much for joining me for this analysis. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.